Revelation in the moment that we have to get. The revelation he got was this light that came down on him, this light that was brighter than the sun that hit him, it was not a physical light. He said, I realized it had nothing to do with what was physical around me. It knocked us down and it was all around us. It was encompassing all of us, but it was not a natural light. It was a heavenly vision. God was revealing heaven to me, and in heaven that he's revealing, I'm wrong. The heaven that he's revealing to me, what he's showing me that I have zeal. I know I'm trying to do the right thing. I'm making the decision to actually pursue that which I think is against God, but God is revealing to me that I'm the one that's wrong. When God brings revelation, God's revelation never is only about other people. When God reveals stuff, God never only reveals it about somebody else. One of the prophets in the Bible, God took and he had him marry a woman who was a prostitute. And then he began giving him revelations. Why was he giving revelations? Because the woman who he married, this prostitute who he loved and he kept pursuing, she kept being unfaithful to him and kept going back out. Well, why was that happening? Because God is speaking something spiritual, but he's using something natural for our understanding. God speaks mysteriously, but it's never about what's physically happening. It's always about the fact God is communicating something spiritual to us, trying to get us to understand, but because we are trapped in a physical state, because Adam died spiritually. See, in the Garden of Eden, God told Adam and Eve, he said, don't eat of this one tree in the garden, because the day you eat it, you're going to surely die. The serpent comes and says, that's a lie. God is lying to you. The day you eat it, you're not going to die. God knows that the day you eat it, you're going to know the difference between good and evil. It's going to make you wise. God doesn't make you wise. God said exactly the same thing. The day you eat of it, you know good and evil. You're going to have a sense. You're not going to be able to look in a natural sense and be able to see good. You're always going to see good and evil when you look into nature. When you look in the natural sense. So us as human beings, we walk around seeing good and evil all the time, rather than being able to see what God is doing good. So we think of good and evil as actions, and because our definitions have been skewed, we try to look at good and evil as a force of good and a force of evil. God's sense of good and evil is what God says and everything else. So our understanding, the eyes of our understanding have to be enlightened to not be able to try to judge good and evil, but to recognize what doesn't come from God has a presence of evil on it. And when we're looking through our natural eyes, we always see good and we see evil. Why? Because that discerning we think is a power, that discerning is actually the limitation, because when we see, quote, evil in my life, it becomes a barrier to me that I'm afraid to pass.